Guys, welcome to another episode of Wisdom and Wealth, where we got some cool people, man. We got entrepreneurs, we got awesome people that are just killing it in their lives for themselves, their families, and I love highlighting those people. So today I'm super excited because I got a guy that as a buddy, I want to say basically a pal is the term we use on our text thread, right? But met dove hunting together at a buddy Casey Donahue's place in Ranch. We're just talking about how we need to get back hunting again.
Well, Throckmorton, those are fun days.
Yeah. But the man himself, Kevin Fowler.
Howdy, howdy. And the crowd goes crazy.
I was going to say, we have the sound effect.
And the crowd goes mild.
But man, I'm excited because we met, first time was at the ranch, right?
Yep.
And I laugh because we're talking about this on the way over here. It's like, athletes want to be musicians want to be athletes. But as we're talking about it, there's athletes, 84% of athletes go broke. And you're like, musicians are a lot the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Willie, they still got to have to bail him out. Remember when he lost everything? But musicians they're just a lot like, a lot of ball players. They just start off from nothing, then all of a sudden they have money, and they just don't take care of it. They just, squander it away. Then when the joyride's over, all of a sudden they don't have any money.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, where did I went? Went on Jaguars and Rolexes and girlfriends and 3 ex-wives and lawsuits and stuff,
It's wild how it happens, but it's crazy. But we met hunting, right? And I always laugh because when I asked you, first time I came, Casey invited me to go hunting at the ranch. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm meeting all these guys. I don't know who these people are. And I always laugh to me because I grew up, my dad, going on farm calls with dad in his veterinarian days and, listening to Conway Twitty and, anybody, his favorite song was I'm in a Hurry to Get Things Done. Right. But, I'm like, that's how I grew up listening to music. So I remember asking you, like, all right, how do you know Casey? You're like, I'm with the band. I do band stuff. And then I saw you tagged in our Instagram post that he made of the group on top of the Can-Am. I'm like, oh, shoot, that's Kevin Fowler. I didn't even put it together. And so it was just kind of funny. And then, of course, we all talk trash on the string. And that's all it is.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys, being guys.
Yeah. So, but we've had Marty B. You're playing Marty B's tonight.
Tonight, right here in your backyard.
But so Marty's been on the podcast.
Oh, cool. I hear he's like the mayor of the town or something. He owns everything.
Owns everything.
He's a mover and shaker.
But he has an amazing story. But like, I want to get into you a little bit because, and we got talking on the drive over, right? But like, so many things that I love is when I came out of ball into our business here was I love hearing the stories, the risks the entrepreneurs took, how we did it for the business, what are we doing afterwards, but how are we growing a life? How are we caring about our family? How are we doing all these things to like have like build the pot up, but also like still have our family or still have the things that we love. Right. And so, those are the things I like to talk about is basically like taking the risk and finding the opportunities that life has available for us. When I think a lot of people get stuck in the mindset of the victim mindset, right? It's like, maybe that's not life for me. Maybe not, but maybe it is. Yeah. Maybe you just didn't try hard enough.
Yeah, maybe you should try to get yourself out of that ditch,
Right.
Just because you were born broke don't mean you have to die broke.
Come on.
I'm
going to clip that one. Clip that. That's all.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, talk about that a little bit. Like, cause we talk about like, even your comment and how, musicians are the same way, right? So, okay.
Identical.
You didn't do that. You didn't choose that path. So talk about that.
Me, like when I was, always growing up, I'm a land guy. We'll get that out there first. All my money's in land. I'm a dirt guy, commercial, ranch, all the above. And, when I was growing up, if I ever have enough money, I'm going to buy me a ranch. Well, then got the ranch, and I just started investing in dirt from day one. Immediately when I started making money, I never like spending money. I don't want to see it again, My ranch projects, I always know to the penny what I have in them, and what they're worth. But the main thing, I just always didn't want to just be, broke. I was like, God, I'm making all this money. I don't want to go buy a new car. I want to buy another piece of dirt, I want to do some improvements on my property and get it to generate more money, and I enjoy that, it's not for everybody. Most musicians aren't that way, and ball players, but I was telling you on the way over here, my dad was Dave Ramsey before Dave Ramsey was Dave Ramsey. He's really beat that into me, that whole no debt, do have the cash, don't buy it, save money. But my dad never invested his money. He just keeps it in a savings account. He likes the security of having a lot of cash to has something to fall back on, in case stuff happens, fun. But me, I always go, man, you're making 2% interest and your inflation 3%. You just lost 1% of your money's
Right.
dwindling every year. And I always like putting in assets. And I'm weird. You're really into a lot of stocks and different things. That the guy that like about dirt is I can touch it, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the right way to be. I should get out of, or I'm not so heavy into real estate, but it's my comfort zone. It's my passion. So when I'm laying in bed at night, I'm looking through and see what the market's doing on this area, and that, I obsess about it. I love real estate. I would say I'm an addict.
Yeah.
But nice thing about it is it builds up, and they're all growing, and that's just my passion. I love dirt,
Yeah.
commercial, and started out with rural properties. Casey, like if most of us country musicians, when we started making money, we immediately bought a ranch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was your dream growing up,
Right.
So
So
just kind of went from there, and
that first thing you got was the ranch?
yeah,
Was that it?
for
Something you can go shoot
bought a
on?
little 3 acres, and then in '97 bought first little 3 acres. My dad loaned me $30,000, and I ended up fixing it up and sold it for $275. And I thought, wow, this is cool, and then just put that next one, started flipping homes, started getting bigger properties. Then it went to 50 acres, then went to 300 and something acres, and it just kept growing. Now I got where I figured I was too heavy into about 15 years ago. About 2014 or so, I realized all I have is this one big, massive ranch, my whole financial existence. And so I started subdividing it up, chopping it into little pieces, and figured out, if you buy a big chunk, it's cheaper per acre, and then you sell it, chop it up, and get more per acre. And started putting in income producing stuff because I'm almost 60. I'm the old guy. I'm the old fart in the Texas country scene, and I think about, do I want to be on a bus at 80 like Willie? Well, if I do, I want to do it because I want to do it. I don't want to have to do it,
Yeah.
So I've slowly started moving more into income producing stuff, and, stuff that's, triple net commercial stuff is nice because I tell my tenants, don't call me unless it's on fire. And if it's on fire, don't call me until it's totally burned down.
Hey, well, I mean, it's not, but it's funny because a lot of people, they start making the big income stream. This is a common thing. The normal thing is a big income stream. My life grows with it. And yeah, like you're the biggest asset because you provide the income stream. Touring is the deal, right? But like ultimately, if you want the freedom, I got to have the assets to give it to me. And that's something that we talk about a lot because especially as you're passing down, one thing we were talking about on the way over here was like we kind of fit in the bread and butter stage at this stage in our business of that 5 to 30 million where somebody's approaching that taxable estate. Well, that's great, but all of a sudden kids are arguing about the inheritance potentially, and well, like it's cool, but if they didn't grow up in the business to really respect it, like it's going to go just as fast as it came to them.
Yeah.
Right. And what they don't understand is that like the common one I'll like tell players, and we stopped working with players for this reason because they just blow everything and they kind of the next shiny ball, it's gone. Right. But I'm like, if you get a bag of 10 million and we could earn anywhere between 2 and 4% interest off of this thing gross, I'm like, it's $200,000 to $400,000 a year. Like you had that when you were high school or even college, you're drooling. I could live off that for the rest of my life. And that assets of producing the income stream, whatever that makeup is, I'm like, that's the baby, right? That's your freedom creator. And then you go grow it and you continue to grow that 2 to 4% every year. And it may even be more than that. But it's funny because so many people just get wrapped up in that $10 million picture. They're like, I got plenty and I can go blow it. And OBJ, the receiver, that article came out. I don't know if you saw that one. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
He was talking about, he got the $100 million contract from the Giants when he was playing, the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's all gone.
Oh.
And he was like, we need more than 100 million these days. And I'm like, brother, nobody's got sympathy for you. But it was just, because people love seeing that dollar amount. And I've even seen that when you're talking about land, we do a lot of 1031 exchanges, right? Well, some people get this big offer and they're like, we've had people come in and they're like, I just want to see that 10 million. I've never seen that in my account in my life. It's almost like it's not real. I got to see it in my account. So they rush it into their life. And the common question is like, well, hey, I sold this land and, you know, I want to 1031 it. We got to figure out some options. Can you help me out for it? Well, okay. Where's the money sitting right now? He's like, well, it's in my bank account.
Too late for 1031 now.
Too late, brother. Yep. And so,
23.8% of it.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, your tax bill's coming. So, and it's a rude awakening. And I get surprised how many people they don't realize it even. And so they always act after the fact and instead of trying to prep ahead of time for it. So it's interesting, but that's why I appreciate and like respect, like you've already walked through a lot of this stuff and you've seen it plenty. So, so it's just wild to me, but I like seeing guys win in that category because that was one thing that thankfully my wife and I stuck on was after ball. Even though we made minimum 5 out of 6 years, we were able to win past football and not screw it all up, you know? So, I mean, if you're talking to the young country guy or young metal guy, because that's your past too, I mean, like if you're talking to them right now, what are you telling them? You're like, what's on this income stream? I've never had this before in my life. I'm living out of the tour van, you know, just trying to scrape by. What are you telling me? How can I manage money right now? I don't have a bunch of income from touring or a career built yet. Yeah. What are you telling that guy?
$100,000 new Ford F-250 is not an investment. You know, that's an expense. You know, there's different things. You know. Musicians, you know, like like ball players, they want those shiny things. You know, and all people. I don't think blame on just our two professions, but you know, people just don't think. You know, they go, well, I got this car here. Well, that's the light. I look at those things like a light bulb. They're burning out from the time you turn them on. You know, they're just burning out. So, and I get more kick out of I want another piece of dirt or an actual asset than I do, you know, the car. I drive a nice truck, but I make the money. I drive that truck and I look at it and I know that, I'm going to drive it for 150,000 miles and get those good years out of it when there ain't no payment on it. And, you know, and people just don't think that way. And they just want to go on vacations and stuff. Maybe that's fine. And maybe I am too anal. You know, maybe I need to do more travel. My fiance tells me a lot. You got to start spending some. You know, you need to go have some fun and travel more and work less. But I enjoy work.
Yeah,
you know, and I think the only people that retire are the people who don't like what they do. I enjoy playing music and I enjoy messing with real estate. So why would I stop those two things? You know, even if I had $200 million, I would still want to work because that's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I got off topic there, but
no, well, and you bring up a good one though, because heck, we don't work well with the guys that just want to mail it in and drink Mai Tais on the beach all their life. You know, I'm just going to get fat and do nothing. Like that's cool for a season, right? Like enjoy your win, no doubt. I love the beach. Let's not get me wrong. Okay. But I can't do that forever. So like, I still love winning. I still love finding opportunities. I still love, heck, besides the idea that I think you're supposed to work as a man. I mean, that's biblical too. If you're a believer at all, right? It's like, that's a sign to us. Adam was actually given a job before he was given a partner. So like that's get to work. So a guy that doesn't get to work, this is why I got so many guys don't retire or have struggle after, or like even athletes after their sport doesn't want them anymore. it's so heavy because you're like, what is my purpose now, right? And you're like, well, go find another job, go find another purpose, essentially, because we got to be useful. And so I think it's completely valid, the stuff you bring up there. Man, go talk a little bit about this. Talk about your country music career. Like, what were some like pivotal times where you saw like a hockey stick curve in income, or even in, like, I don't want to say fame necessarily, but like where you saw your career start taking off a little bit, like key moments or decisions even that really affected your trajectory there.
I mean, they always say in music business, you got to stay in the game long enough to get lucky, and I'd been playing on the rock. I started doing rock stuff way back in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm old, people, you didn't know. and finally,
You got Medicare coming
just
up.
kept going on, and right in 2000, I put that Beer Bait and Ammo record, and had to be there and catch that wave when all of a sudden, the internet was coming out, and email was a new thing. And before that, only way to get your word out was just postcards. We all had mailing lists. I remember trying to get Pat Green to give me his mailing list so he had to send out my postcards to his. But in 2000, it just lined up with it. The rise of the internet and rise of independent music, and Texas music just took this rocket ride. Beer Bait and Ammo came out, and that record this was phenomenal for me. That song, I wasn't gonna put that song out, and it just went viral. I wasn't even sing while I was working. It went viral, and since then I've been, I still think I'm known as the Beer Bait and Ammo guy. And since then, Mark Chestnut's cut it, George Jones cut it right before he passed away. Sammy Kershaw cut it. I've had a lot of cuts on that. And but just right at the end, that song there was just a wave there. Casey was in there that early, 2002 or so, when he really I don't remember when he got going. But all of us, we just all of a sudden went from slaving away, making $30,000 a year to making 6 digits, and up into 7 digits later on,
Yeah.
And just like, but it wasn't all from music, The guys that do really well even today in our scene are the ones that, we don't call them out by name, but the ones that really, they don't blow their money, they invest their money, and they don't just buy new cars and be leveraged to the hilt. I don't like leverage. I'm not a big debt fan.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've gotten better about it. But if I know it's making money, but they just didn't. Everybody has that mindset. And a lot of my friends. I'm 59, looking at 60, and I didn't start. I was 34 when Beer Bait and Ammo took off. So when I started making money, I was 34. And I kind of got a late start. I'm trying to tell my kids, you got to start now. A lot of my friends are like now at 58, 59, all in there. The later guys, class of 84, it's old farts. They're like, man, how do I start? I'm like, dude, you missed the boat. You should have been in this 20 years ago,
Yeah.
You're still debt, just talking with my buddies the other day. Massive debt on his house, he's upside down in his car, all this stuff. Like, dude, you're 58. You should not, you should be past this.
Right.
Should have done this in your 20s and learned a lesson and moved on. But not everybody has that mindset.
Yeah. No, you're right. I would tell people better late than never, right? But there is, if you're who's been in investing and you've seen compounding interest charts, at 20, that work will surpass anybody starting at 30 or 40. And so by the time you hit 60, it's, that however many $100 a month is going to hit $1 million at 60. And that at 30 years old, it's going to be half that. And so like, it sounds like that's what it almost sounds like for you, is like starting out early in my business, that compound effect that took place. It was funny you say that, because I think about this. I told you about an athlete I talked to. Cowboys, they brought me in for like the last 7 years now to talk to rookies, to just tell my story, not give them any lessons, just tell my story. But I get to tell my story about this. And because you hear all these stories about guys losing, and I talked to an NBA guy not too long ago, it was 33 million, nothing left. And you're just like, and everybody's like, how, right? Well, it's easy for everybody to do it, especially if you see these lotto winners. But it's it's coming in and starting with like basic, like don't go blow it all, and let's go do something with it, or get around the right people that we need to influence us to make better decisions. And so I totally lost my train of thought. There was another place I was going with that. It was gone. But so what did you say right before that?
I don't know. See, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, felt bad again sometimes.
And I'm the poster child for ADD. You know, my brain always does a million things. I think I find it as sometimes it's an advantage.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
I can do multitask a lot of stuff.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was a compound thing. So
My friends growing up.
So
it's not too late.
I'll share this with other athletes, and I'm sure you probably share the same story. You're sharing it right now. You're like, dude, you missed the boat. But like, I'll share with these guys. I'm like, the athletes are cool, all that stuff, good people. But I tell them, I'm like, man, hang around people bigger than that. And I mean, like, what I mean bigger than that, I'm not talking about bigger number wise. I'm like bigger thought wise. And like, cause you get in some of these rooms where I get somebody who's like, hey, I want to make $100,000 in a year. And then you get another guy's like, what's wrong with making $1 million? No. And like jar you a little bit. Right. And you're like, well, what do you mean? I want to hear your attitude. Whoa, you talk to me about that. That's 10 times more than what I was just talking about. And I was sharing it with this NBA guy not too long ago because he had a t-shirt business. And I asked him, I'm like, are you passive or are you active in that? And I was like, no, I'm passive. And I was like, if I could beg you to do anything, is put your hands all in that t-shirt business and learn everything you could about that. And I go, because that will teach you an infinite more about outside life, for like regular life. Mm-hmm. Then there's a bunch of parallel lessons in sports for sure. But what you're going to learn there is going to apply so much more past basketball. And I share that. And I told him, I go, man, I wish that I don't regret any of my athletic life by any stretch, but I wish that I had 10 years earlier that I could have started my business. And I'm like, how much further ahead could I have been seeing the things, even at 43 right now, like what I could have, like how much further along could I be? I see the trajectory of like what we're doing and what we're going to be in 10 years. And I'm like, imagine if I started 10 years earlier, how much more would it be, but that's that compounding is like, even in life and in experience, I want to talk to the guy to the person who's got 30, 40, 50 years of experience over me, because I can steal it now if they're willing to give it. And that's what happened to me even in the business, was like, I went to talk to somebody who was way bigger than me. Yeah. And her name is Erin Botsford. She's been in this business. That's why I always want to talk to the people bigger than me, because I'm going to get a piece of gold out of them in that wisdom that is going to pay me 10 times over. Yeah.
I think it's always, if you're a musician, always play with musicians better than you. If you're a tennis player, play with tennis players better than you. If you're, the wealth business, it's the same way. You can always stay on your same level. Yeah. Try to up your game, and I think really the people you're running with affect that.
It's huge. Yeah. Now, was there a time you had to kick yourself in the butt to get rid of some people in your life?
Oh yeah. But I've always been that way. It's kind of a blessing and a curse, that driven side of us, people like us. Me and my fiance talk about it. The thing that got us here is the thing that also drives us crazy sometimes, because enough is never enough. Yeah. But that's just the way I'm wired. I'm wired to go, more, go. If I was easily happy, I would have been just fine selling out a little 300-seat venue on a Thursday night. But no, that's not enough. Then you get there, then you want,
step up.
I like the challenge. Yeah. And I think whether it's financial, whether it's on the music side or whether it's on the real estate side or anything, I like to. I'm not good at being just content, just sitting around.
You got to be a little crazy.
I'm a lot of crazy. Yeah.
But you got to be a little bit. I mean, it's because there's crazy fluctuation stories and people, and there's risk and real stuff involved. So I appreciate that. Well, tell me this before we close out. What are you excited about right now? Because on that vein, and I remember this saying from football: "What got you here will not get you there." So, like, there are some key attributes you keep at, but like, where are you at right now? What are you excited for right now? What's driving you or growing you or something that you're aiming for at this point?
Man, I still love the music, and I've got new music out, got a new duet out right now with David Lee Murphy that's doing really well, and I still love the music. I'm just as passionate about the real estate and my investment stuff as I am. I would say even more passionate right now, though that's hard to say, but I love it. I've always got projects. I bought you're familiar with Green Hall?
Yeah.
Green Hall. I just bought the oldest, old buildings is my thing, old historic buildings. And almost all my commercial stuff, well, all of it is all historic. Almost all of them have historical markers on there. I just bought a house right next to Green that we're totally restoring, and got some buddies of mine in there that have a new upstart line of shirts called Iron Oak. And they're slaying it. They're little hungry go-getters. And building a bar. We got a lot of stuff going on. I've got to have a reason to get up in the morning and get out of bed.
Yeah.
And it used to always just be just music, but now it's music and it's the real estate. And I get just as much buzz out of it when I hit one out of the park with the property as I do hit one out of with a song.
Yeah.
I enjoy both of them equally. So I've always kind of served two masters. They've kind of both hurt each other, but they both risen.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. This is great. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. You got any last words you want to leave these people before we bounce out of here?
Well, don't blow all your money or you'll be 59 and you'll be wishing you'd started earlier. But I think it's just a mindset. Some people are good with money and some people are not.
Yeah.
But you can learn, you can change.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, thank you. Thank
y'all. Thank you for letting me come in here and just blabber. I don't know if we ever talked about anything or we just talked in a circle or just entertained ourselves for a little time, but it was fun.
I'll take it. It was good.
Thank you.
You heard it.